Would you donate your brain to a suicidal person?
What is the value of your life after death?
What have you done to make an impact? Justify your existence. All right. Welcome to another kitchen sink microscopy. Me, Casey. You, viewer. Like, share, subscribe.
Simple. Keep it simple. Me, Eric. Uh, well, okay. I don't know how to simplify this, but Casey and I, we write music, and there's going to be a song at the end of the episode, probably something you haven't heard before, or in a long time, probably. So enjoy that. You can get our music. I'm sure there's going to be a link in the description or whatever. So yeah, Casey, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, somebody that we had planned on having on the show, um, and this isn't the first time this has happened, unfortunately, but he passed away before we had the chance to do that. And he was a local guitar hero, Tony DeLisio. Man could really shred. Um, like he played with some real like A-list people. Yngwie Malmsteen, I'm sure you've heard of.
Yeah.
Totally had him like as a backing guitarist in his
Wow.
band, or he opened, or both. He's been around anyway. Um, Total tragedy. He was waiting to get a lung transplant, and he was so close, like really close. Um, so I thought the topic of organ donation
Yeah.
might be something good to kind of go over.
This is a subject that I feel I have a lot of mixed feelings about. Like, I am an organ donor. Um, and like I still believe in that. Like, I think it's a good thing. Everybody should be an organ donor.
Hmm.
But the way the industry behind that operates is really shady and doesn't really help people. And it,
It is driven by greed quite a bit.
yeah, well, and a bunch of politics and
Like
bureaucracy and
like
stuff for
how
no
how
reason.
long you'll live, or probably will live, after the transplant has
Mm-hmm.
a lot to do with it, because they don't want to spend a bunch of money, like taking a subpar liver and giving it to somebody that'll probably only live 6 weeks after that. It's like,
Yeah, well,
well, who gets to decide this stuff?
oh, I know it's all the bureaucracy behind it and stuff, and like maybe it has to do with scarcity too. There's not enough people who are organ donors, and to me,
Right.
I think, well, okay,
and
yeah,
and difficulty, like
yeah,
you got to move really fast with that stuff. And
yeah,
yeah,
and
I,
the whole like logistics of like, oh well, I die here and somebody needs, like, oh, they're like, oh, you have a good heart, and there's a person over like on the other side of the country that needs a heart. you know
mm,
I
yeah,
think it's kind of stupid that it's limited to like the country. Like, I think
yeah.
globally we should all be participating in this kind of process. We need to develop some kind
Well,
of
Sweden pretty much does that, but we can talk about
yeah,
that.
yeah. But like, despite that, despite all the issues, I still think everybody should sign up for that, because if you think about it, it's like, you're dead. What does it matter? Like, what are you gonna do with those organs in a very expensive box underground? You know,
Right.
like, or worse yet, if you're cremated, right? Oh yeah, heh, you want this heart? You're not gonna get it. Whoosh. Like, why? Give this stuff to the people who need it and then get cremated or buried or whatever. And,
Right.
like it.
There ought to be like funeral homes ought to at least offer this, like, hey, whether or not your loved one wanted their organs to be donated, before we put them in the fire, would you like to have them donated?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Um, because yeah, like there's always people in need,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it shouldn't really matter if the organ is in super good condition or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like
A little bit of a final
if
change.
somebody is going to die like 2 days from now, and this is the best liver you've got, well, I'm sure they'd be happy to have it, for
Yes.
another 6 weeks to a year or whatever.
Well, not only that, but as time goes on, as medical science improves, it's possible that we may learn how to make things better.
Yeah.
So today, oh yeah, you might only live another month or something when you get this transplant, but
Yeah.
we've learned something from that. And the
Yeah.
next time we do this transplant, that person lives for a year or
I mean, Tony
5 years.
died because of the bureaucracy. Like
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was
exactly.
going through all these tests and questions, and people trying to determine how long he'll live because it was a genetic thing, and it probably would just attack his new lungs anyway. Yeah, like
I know. It's
like these
oh,
are real people
exactly.
that are dying, and loved ones are grieving now because it was like, hmm, hmm, well, I don't know if you should get this organ. Oops, you
Let
died.
me think. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. It's ridiculous. And I mean, and it's probably because of the fact that a lot of people are not organ donors. There's not a lot of organs going around. And I don't understand people not participating in that, even though it's flawed. Like, yes, it's very, very flawed and it's corrupt and there's all kinds of issues. But you know what? You're dead.
I
Let
think
your,
a
yeah,
lot of it
let
is
your,
religion. Um,
well, that,
like
well,
religious beliefs have a lot to do with like whether or not you can, desecrate the body or whatever.
mhm,
Like that. Like this is another example of how religion harms humanity.
mhm.
Like even as innocuous as someone might think that is, to think that the body is too sacred to cut an organ out after they've already died and have stopped using it. Um, like that's actually not so innocuous, like
Mhm. Well, especially given that we do have the technology to harvest organs from a dead person and make another person who's about to die not die.
yeah. Like
You know,
ethically, I don't see anything wrong with like taking something from a dead body, even if they said, please don't do that, because they won't know.
and they won't care. They're dead.
Yeah, right.
They,
Like until you can prove that there's an afterlife and they're gonna like keep an eye on you and then haunt you for doing that,
yeah.
just go ahead and do it. I think,
Well, the
like,
thing is, like, if you believe in, if you have like a religious belief that uh you believe in souls or something, right? You
mhm.
the even like all of the religious beliefs that fall into that kind of category basically believe that the body is just a vessel, a
Mhm.
temporary vessel. And when you die, you transcend your physical existence, your three-dimensional existence, and you become some, I don't know, you enter some other realm as a soul that's completely separate from that body that you inhabited. Like it, it's stupid to just like, oh yeah, you got to remain intact or something like that. I don't get it.
No, it's very silly. And I about Sweden, I really do appreciate the way they handle it, because if you're on, and I mean this is based off of their universal health insurance policies and stuff. If you're Swedish and you're on a waiting list for an organ for 6 months, and nobody in Sweden is having this organ for you, they will pay to fly you to a country where they do have an available organ and pay for all the procedure to happen there.
Wow.
And that's the right way to do it,
It is.
because it doesn't matter what country you're in,
No. No.
like whether or not you should get medical attention or a life-saving procedure or something.
Or whether you live in this country, like your organs, the working ones should be able to go wherever they're needed.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere a human being on earth needs your organs, they should be able to go there.
Yeah.
Like,
and it would be nice if you could check that box on driver's license, like
mm-hmm. I wish that was an option. And
please DHL my heart to China, like
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, because then it comes back around. Like, and why wouldn't you want your tombstone to read like you saved a life? Through death, you saved someone's life.
right.
Like, isn't that the highest order? And I mean, I don't think many religions would disagree with that. That like preserving life and well-being is a bad thing. They wouldn't be
Yeah,
thinking that.
I wonder how much in this day and age there's still the whole philosophy from the angle of the recipient, um, where you remember that episode of Star Trek Next Generation where Worf was really reluctant to give this blood or whatever it was to a Romulan. And then finally he was like, okay, well, I guess I'll do it. And the Romulan was like, I don't want your poison blood in my body, and he died,
Yep,
like with,
I remember that.
like, I wonder how much that's really a thing. I mean, I know it was speaking to uh, something a little bit more intangible than that, but um, that could actually be the case. I suppose, like
Yeah.
there's probably some KKK guy that drank himself half to death, and then he might get a kidney from a black guy, and he's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I suppose, but that's so silly. Like,
It is. Well, yeah, I could definitely see that being a thing though, where people are like, "Oh, I don't want that." Like, where did this come from? This
I mean,
organ?
that's their choice.
True.
Fine, if they want to die, they can die, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's pointless.
it is.
Uh, people.
Yeah, I know. God, that's a yeah. I agree.
So, what do you think would be a good system then? Like
Mm,
uh, compulsory organ donation?
I think maybe if it were just more open, people there'd be more participants, and if it were global, like, and if it weren't so corrupted to where
I mean, the logistics in the global thing is tough though,
with
because
certain organs, yes,
yeah, like
we
there's only
do.
so much you can put on ice for so long, and
That's
blah
true.
blah blah.
But we do have the technology to ship something basically within about a day to
Yeah.
anywhere on the planet.
And honestly, like our military could be doing this, breaking the sound barrier with their jets for this rather than for dropping bombs.
Uh, yeah, why
I'd,
not?
I'd rather spend the money on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Like,
like a fighter jet flying max speed. You got like a U-2 or something like that.
yeah,
Uh going so yeah, why not?
like every time you hear a sonic boom, it's something bad, but then you might be like, oh, that's the sound of an angel getting his wings.
I was
Like,
just thinking the exact same thing. Oh my god. Oh, yeah. Oh man.
but yeah, like, I mean, to me, ethics kind of ends when your life ends. Like
Mm-hmm.
anything that would apply to ethics no longer kind of applies, right?
Yeah,
Like you're not being harmed anymore.
because you're not conscious.
Yeah, beyond that, you're dead.
Yeah.
You know, like,
And I mean, again, most religious views believe that your soul departs from your physical body when you die, and that's left behind. And so your consciousness then moves on to some other realm of existence. It doesn't
mhm.
remain in that body. So that body is not sacred at all. And let's also talk to sorry, my chair's still falling apart. Like, um, let's talk about like medical experimentation
Mm.
with cadavers and stuff like that. Like
Um,
the
yeah,
amount of discovery that we as a species have made because of that, because of like grave diggers back in the day, or people
yeah.
who've donated their body to science and stuff, like that is invaluable. Like I can't even calculate like how much of an improved effect that's had on our understanding of the human body.
Yeah.
Like and that like I'm all for that. I actually have thought for the longest time about donating myself to what's it called, the oh, I can't remember the the like museum touring,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
see-through bodies where like, oh look, there's a circulatory system like preserved in resin or something like that, and it's like a real thing. Like
yeah.
even that, like, okay, sure, you're not necessarily doing medical science there, but just the general public being able to see that is valuable too.
Well, stuff like that inspires little kids to become doctors or researchers.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it does count for a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind donating my body to science. Um, like I feel like that's a kind of a noble legacy.
Yeah,
Um,
like you live on.
yeah,
That's
you continue doing good in the world.
exactly. And you can be an organ donor and donate your body to science, or one of these organizations that like, you know, shows off your nervous, like it takes your entire nervous system and encases it in some kind of resin of some sort, and
Mhm.
you're on display in a museum for the next 100 years or something. Like that's fucking cool. What why wouldn't you do that? You know,
Right?
what you're more content to just rot away in like a very very expensive wooden box under the dirt? Like why? What's that going to do you? Like
Yeah.
wouldn't why wouldn't you want your legacy to be like, oh, you know, here it is, like this person, even especially if you have like a an anomaly or something like that, like, oh, you know, that's super useful for the
Yeah.
future. Like
Yeah.
people being able to see that, and why wouldn't you donate yourself? I don't understand people who are resistant to that. I mean,
Yeah.
especially when you're religious, like really, you like I can kind of understand a non-religious person saying, oh, I don't want my body being used for these purposes after I'm dead. But for a religious person to do that, like, look, you believe you have a soul that floats off into the ether and joins with the creator or something like that after you die. So what does that matter? You know,
Right.
the physical body, why keep that preserved, even though they don't, you know?
No.
I mean, unless you're like ancient Egyptian, I guess, but even then they took the
I,
organs out.
yeah,
And
it's honestly mostly for the survivors and out of sight, out of mind. As long as they're preserved long enough to get through the open casket funeral,
mm-hmm.
then if they start withering away 2 weeks later, they aren't
Yeah,
gonna know, and like it is really ridiculous. Like you can still have an intact body in a casket with the organs taken out
yeah,
and given to someone who needs them. and have this nice funeral where they're like wearing clothes over the incisions and stuff. Like you won't
Yeah,
know. uh,
exactly.
yeah, like it really
I
is
would.
like there's no reason not to be an organ donor. And like at some point in my life, I realized like I was like, why did I never check this box? Like it doesn't hurt
Just
me at all. Like
exactly, like you're dead, like it doesn't matter, honestly. And I wouldn't even want like an open casket funeral. For me it's like a funeral pyre, uh ancient Viking style funeral, put me what's put what remains of me on a boat, set it on fire and push it out to sea. Like I'm fine with that. That's the way I want to go. And I'm like such an advocate for recycling. Like I think, okay, harvest out of my dead body anything like skin. There's probably people with burns who need skin or something. If that's a possibility, take that. Like take whatever, you know. Uh, Use the stuff that's still viable. Obviously, my kidneys probably won't be, but whatever else is good. Uh,
yeah.
Take what's good, use it, and and I don't know, medical science and stuff. I just even if there's this, oh yeah, well we got everything out of this guy that we could, and there's just kind of like a skull and like a hand or something. That's all
Yeah.
that's left. Okay, take those things, put them on a boat, set it on fire, push it out to sea. Like that's good enough. I would be elated to know that my body went to help save other people's lives and improve other people's lives, or improve medical science understanding that in the future could save lives.
And the blood, I imagine if they worked fast enough, they could exsanguinate the body and donate a bunch of blood. You know,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
uh,
because I mean the amount of blood you can donate is already pretty substantial when you're alive.
yeah.
Imagine when you don't need to be alive, like because you're
I
already
mean,
dead.
granted, that might not work because I don't know exactly how quickly decay starts to get into the blood. And um,
Yeah, I suppose you'd have to be in a facility that's already ready, like just
yeah,
waiting for you to die. And the
like
second you
it
die,
doesn't circulate anymore, so it's going to start to coagulate.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, if there's a way that they can kind of use it somehow,
Sure,
that would be, even if
yeah,
it like irradiate it and donate it to Hollywood so they make better looking movies.
exactly. Yep. This kind of goes into like it just got me thinking about something that is very relevant, I guess, or connected to what we're talking about. What do you think about the whole like life extension process, like these companies that freeze you for the future,
Huh.
so that there's a
I
couple
don't
of them out there.
I don't know that's ever gonna work. Um
I agree. I think it's very wishful thinking.
like if we develop such a technology, it's pretty likely that by then the technology for freezing you correctly might have caught up, but I don't think we're even there yet.
No, no. In fact,
Like you start destroying the cells, like crystallizing them and everything, and then there's kind of no turning back from that. So like
yeah, like okay.
if you were reanimated, there'd be a lot of gelatinous parts of you that
Well, yeah, like that is my issue, is that we're very the way we're doing things right now is extremely primitive, and it does damage the cells quite a bit.
yeah.
In fact, they've gone and looked at like cadavers that have been frozen, and like after a couple of years they start cracking and weird things happen and stuff, and it's like, okay, well, given enough time, if you were frozen for 1,000 years, yeah, medical science probably would be able to like reconstruct you in some form, but not like 50 years in the future. We're
Now
not even.
short term has worked
Yes.
already. Like
Mm-hmm.
I heard about somebody drowning in a river and they were basically frozen because it was like super cold and way up in the mountain or something. And they were able to reanimate them with like almost no damage done because the cellular processes were basically stopped.
Yeah, all
Uh,
the decay was
yeah.
stopped. Yeah.
So I mean, there is like kind of a precedent for that working. It's just the question is like, um, how long can you
Mhm.
do that and come back from it? Uh, yeah.
Well, yeah, we definitely have the technology to freeze people
Mhm.
and like stop that decay process. But so far, we're not even close to the technology to bring somebody back from that.
Right.
Like, sure,
And
we
I
can we
wonder
can
what happens to your consciousness in that interim. Like,
ooh, ooh, I mean that ooh, that's an interesting point. Like,
that'd
what if
be
you're
super trippy.
existing in limbo, just like this weird
You
in
would
between?
go insane.
Yeah.
You'd wake up and you would not be who you used to be.
No, this is true. Oh, that's an interesting question.
Trapped in the prison of your mind, all
Mhm.
alone in deep space, 3 million years from
Yeah.
Earth.
They're all dead, Dave. Yeah, I mean, in the future, maybe that's a viable thing. Um, I guess maybe we put a lot of emphasis on extending life, and I find it kind of weird that everybody, like anybody who's in a life and death situation, right, where it's like, oh my god, if I don't do this, I'm gonna die. They will pay any amount of money, provide any amount of resources just for another day on this planet. Yet we burn like most of our existence just sitting there watching TikTok and playing like World of Warcraft or something that has no consequence to your existence. Like we don't we waste all of our time doing nothing, doing stuff that doesn't impact the world at all. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm just I don't know, twiddling my thumbs or fidget spinners or something like that for the entire existence that we have. And then when it comes time to pay the piper, we're like, oh wait, I'm not done. I haven't done enough. Well, wait a minute. You had all this time. All that time you could have been doing at least something. Do a little, you know?
Yeah.
I like time is precious, and we should make it count. I guess that's what
I
I'm.
haven't beat Akari Warriors 3 yet. Just
Sorry.
loops at the end.
Oh man.
I won't let myself die until I beat Akari Warriors 3.
You're like about to die, and like, wait a minute, Goonies 2. I never did go in that one door. God damn it, I gotta do it now. Uh, uh. No, I mean, I think it's a valid point though. Like if we treasure life so much, um, we ourselves individually should be burning our life candle, I guess, in a way that makes a difference, that does something. You know, we all have something to contribute. Like even the dumbest person on the planet knows something that someone else doesn't, or they have a resource that could assist another person. Like share information, um, teaching people, helping people, like go out and make your life count in some way. Like you don't need to be a philanthropist to do that. You could just help a couple of people, and that's more than most people ever do.
Yeah. Yeah, like the impact that you make on the world doesn't have to be uh like world altering,
Mm-hmm.
or at least not like on the surface or whatever where you can easily see your impact, right?
Yeah.
Because everything we do has some sort of influence on all these other chain reactions and stuff. So
Butterfly effect, basically. Yeah.
yeah, and that goes both ways. Like we also create a lot of problems in our lives too. Like
No kidding.
let's not put that aside, but
Hmm.
it doesn't matter. Like there's no cosmic balance that needs to happen. You don't need to do as much good as you did bad. Like sometimes you're just more of a problem than other people, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like because you're still at least doing something positive for some people,
Hmm.
and that affects them in positive ways and allows them or makes them do great things too. So in a way, you're sort of responsible for that. So
Sure.
like, yeah, I mean, I guess so. In that regard, I can see the argument for wanting to extend life as much as possible
Hmm.
because there, it's never too late to make a huge impact, right?
Yes, that's the point. Yes, that's a key thing. That like,
Yeah,
sure, maybe you feel like you only have a couple of years left. Like your candle is dwindling and it's only that big. Well, you can still do something, make an impact, and change lives for the better. Um, only you know how you can do that. Everybody's different. Everybody has different capacities, but we should be doing that. And I mean, you know what? Like if you're young, start now. Fucking shut down that stupid TikTok or X or Facebook or whatever. Stop doing that and go out and make a difference in some way, even a little way, right? Like, do some stuff,
yeah,
change the world for the better. Like, yeah, okay, R&R is important, downtime is important, but you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, basically. Like like I like playing video games, but I try to make my life mean something, um, make an impact, change just a few lives, make a few lives better. You know, I I don't know, because I wouldn't want to face death knowing that like I did nothing, I accomplished nothing in my life other than like consuming things, whatever they
right.
might
But
be.
if you're an organ donor, at least you have that to fall back on.
Yes,
Like in your dying hour, you can know at least I'll save a life. You know,
maybe more.
yeah, somebody else can do something great with their borrowed time.
Hmm.
Because let me tell you, that will irrevocably change the path of that person's life. They will definitely be thinking about how they've been living, and
Yes.
there will be changes.
Hmm.
Um, I think this pretty much happens every time, if
Hmm.
not most of the time. So
And not only that, but like donating your organs is almost like living longer. Like if I were to die and there was like your friend who needed a lung, and my lungs are pretty decent, since I started vaping and not smoking. Like just if they were able to take my lung and extend his life, um, I'm still alive through that person. Like I'm living on through that person still living. That their life is extended because of me, and I'm actually part of them.
you know what technology I would really love to see someday
Hmm.
in respects to an organ donation is the ability to donate your brain
Yeah.
and consciousness along with it.
Hmm.
And if that would work somehow to take your brain and put it into another body,
Hmm.
people are probably automatically like, wait a minute, why would you do that to like a living person? Like, why would they want to do that? Well,
Hmm.
if they want to commit suicide, just be like, well, hey, if you don't want to live anymore, here's somebody who's basically a vegetable. Um, let's let's give them a functioning body, you know.
Yeah.
um, and there you have assisted suicide, which is far less traumatic for the loved ones,
Hmm.
and you're, you know, kind of saving a life by, you're saving your own life by donating your organ to somebody who didn't even want their body.
Yeah.
So it's almost like who's donating what to whom.
Yeah. Who's
Right.
eating this chicken? Yeah.
Right. Like, but that would be so cool because like what god would look at that person and say you have to go to hell because you committed suicide? Well, you did give your body to a person that totally needed like everything new.
Hmm.
Mm, you know,
It's
like
almost like,
that's got to tip the scales.
well, if you look like, kind of following through what you're talking about, like, yeah, it'd be kind of akin to you sacrificing your life to save another, which
Yeah,
I can't imagine any religious philosophy having a problem with that. Um, you
that's
know,
exactly what that is, really. Um, you know, I've struggled with suicidal thoughts before, and it almost always came down to like me trying to think of a way that I could, I don't know, run into a burning building and save somebody or something, you know, like
hmm.
just like looking for these opportunities that like most people would be like, and
Yeah,
I'd be like, well, yeah, let's
like
go. Yeah.
self-preservation, yeah, and if
Yeah.
you're not in that mindset, yeah, you might save a life by sacrificing yourself. And maybe, yeah, you want to go out, but again, it goes back to what I was saying before. It's like, make your life count, make it mean something. Like, if you're going to die, don't just die because of reasons, like, make it do something, an accomplishment, help other people, and not just like, oh, I guess I'm going out because I don't know, like the circumstances are unacceptable. Well, no, make it mean something, because we all can do that. Every single person has the capacity to make like a positive impact on their community, the world, other humans, like whatever, the environment. I don't know. But we all have the ability, and like we should make, and God, now I'm thinking like it, it it just comes down to like, you only have so much time here, and we should be making that time do something, like have
Yeah.
some kind of value. Like, of course every life is valuable, but like individually, as individuals, we should be contemplating that value that we impart into the world around us. Like, what do we
Yeah.
do?
So I wonder if people ever really give much thought to how much impact they have, um, on others. Because, just thinking back to my dad's funeral, one of the things I said is that he instilled in me a love for music.
Mm-hmm.
And like most people might think, that's not a big deal, right? But like I've written hundreds of songs, and some of them don't suck. Um,
Yeah. Well, and
and
some of those songs have had like a very real impact on other people's lives
yeah,
too, like in a good way. you know
yeah, totally. And I mean that's worth a lot to me, you
hmm.
know, even if like it doesn't really impact anybody else directly. Maybe a handful of people enjoyed my songs or whatever.
That's
At least, at least I have like a lot of value from that,
hmm.
you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like you might not think, looking back on, you're like, well, I haven't like saved a life or this or that. Like, well, you're thinking too big. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't. have to be like some grand sacrifice that you make
Hmm.
that results in something super positive for other people.
It could be little things. Like it. Well, okay. The movie "It's a Wonderful Life" comes to mind.
Right.
The like George, the main character, like he thinks, oh yeah, I didn't really do anything. I'm not worth anything. I'm just gonna end it all. And like the angel shows him like what the world would be like without him, and like he comes to understand like how much of an effect he's had on everybody around him, and like his existence, even though he thought it was meaningless, was so important, so instrumental in the way things turned out, that like yeah, in his absence, if he didn't exist, like things would actually suck a lot more. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing, is like people don't realize how impactful they are on other people around them. And like you often, it's really easy to kind of get caught up in the minutia, and the kind of myopic view of the world around you, that oh my god, woe is me, and da da da, and I'm not worthy, I'm not worth anything. And it's like, no, you if you didn't exist, things would be a lot worse. Well, if you
Yeah.
had a good influence on people. But even if you, like you said, that it's never too late to change. Even if you had a bad influence on people, you can still, as long as you're still alive, there's time to do some good with what you have. And yeah.
Huh. I'm suddenly inspired to like tell some of my depressed friends exactly what they've contributed to my life, and
Ooh, yeah.
uh, because that's at some point you need to hear that from
I
time to time.
I yeah, I fully agree. In fact, it's like, call your mom. Uh, well, okay, my mom's no longer alive. But yeah, we tell people the good things, like, hey, just wanted to say, because of that one time you helped me with that thing or whatever, that I just want to let you know that that was huge. Things are very good, like that helped me a lot. And just let people know how valuable they are, your friends, your family, whatever. um Man,
Yeah.
we should be doing that, because that not only, it's like it validates someone's existence, um but maybe might encourage them to do more. Like, oh wow, I didn't realize how much of like an impact I had on my friends and community.
In fact, maybe I should make like a minute microscopy for anyone I feel like needs a little boost, and just kind of tell the world
Hmm.
what an awesome person that person is.
Yeah.
Um, like that because then there's like a record, like a living, breathing record that
Yeah.
isn't going anywhere unless I get demonetized and YouTube bans it for some reason. You have to be
Oh,
a
if it's
pretty
too nice, they
raunchy
probably.
story.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
yeah, like that. Then there's like it's not just lip service, right?
Hmm.
It's
Yeah,
it's it's out there. Um,
exactly.
and yeah, like stuff like that could really even spark conversation that could I don't know, like open a door for that person,
Hmm.
to a better way, or a better existence, or a better state of mind, or whatever.
Hmm. Well, and I think a lot of times people are sad because they don't feel like they are worth anything. And just knowing that you have done really like have helped some people, even one person in your life through your existence, that gives your life meaning. And I mean that's everything, honestly. Like that's what everybody struggles to find is meaning in life. And if you are made aware of that meaning, then yeah, I don't know, man. That's I guess maybe like everybody should tell somebody um that they know, everybody you know, the like, hey, just wanted to let you know that that one time, you know,
At
that,
band camp.
that man camp. Because geez, I mean, even that could be something too. Um, but yeah, I think if everybody did that more, there'd be a lot less conflict in the world and a lot less depression. Um, Sometimes I think people feel like they do all these things and get nothing in return. And
Yeah.
yeah, okay, maybe you don't get a material return on your investment of effort. But material returns are fleeting and ephemeral. The things that really count are human things, like knowing that a life is better because of you.
Yeah. It's true. They really do love you.
I knew it was going to come back to Red Dwarf. Oh man. Well, and that's something like that I appreciate about you, Casey, is like you challenged me a lot and keep me thinking about things. And like, I can't be lazy having a conversation with you because you know a lot of stuff. Um
Well,
and
and I think I've picked up MacGyver skills from you, like because you have this I can do it attitude,
uh-huh.
uh, like and and even if you can't always fully do it, at least it kind of works,
Yeah,
So that's better than not working. Uh,
exactly. Yeah, like, oh, should be able to patch this up enough to not sink. Yep. Okay, there's water in the boat, but it's not sinking anymore. Good enough. Okay, off we go. Sail into the sunset.
that's right.
Hmm. Oh man. Yeah. Oh, I mean,
Well, that was a good conversation from organ donation into like making an impact while you're still alive. Like
hmm. Yeah,
before you donate organs, donate a kind word. Um,
exactly. Yeah, and even like little things, a couple dollars. What's the Mr. Wendell lyrics? Like $2 means a stack for you, but it means a big deal to me or something. Or wait, is it the other way around? $2 means a stack for me, but it means a big deal to you. Yeah. Like help people out
yeah,
wherever you can. Like even a little thing, like the butterfly effect, right? Like you think, oh, whatever. Yeah, I gave this like bum on the street like a burger, but like that might be the difference between life and death, essentially. That might be the difference, the thing that totally changes the course of that person's existence, who might end up being a big deal in some way, or I don't know, like somehow impacts another person who, we're all interconnected. Like we're all individuals, but we're all kind of connected at the same time. I mean, shit, we all live on this stupid dirt ball floating around in space together. Like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There was one time I was delivering for DoorDash, and after I picked up the order, the customer had canceled the order. And of course, when the food's already made and you've already picked it up, you get to keep it. And I was like, well, I'm working. I already ate. I'll take this to, one of the freeway off ramps and hand it to a homeless person. And so I did that. I parked at Target and went over to Union Ave there. And there was a guy standing there with a sign. I said, "Here's some pho."
Yeah.
and I'll never forget this. Like, he was like, "Oh, thank you so much." And out of his jacket pops this little chihuahua or something, and it was all happy. It was like, so I made the dog happy too.
Nice. Oh yeah, yeah. Those little things, like, who knows what kind of effect that's going to have on the future.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done that many times, just giving people food. Not everybody wants food. Sometimes they want cash.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, still, breaking bread, everybody loves food. You can't go wrong. You give somebody a hot meal on a cold day or night. I actually, so I used to work for an industrial robotics company, and we had like a per diem thing. When we're out of town, we could pay for meals and stuff. But then it used to be, when I first started working there, you could kind of save up. So like a whole week, you could be like, well, I'm going to eat at like McDonald's and pile up all that money and then splurge on Friday, right? Go to the most expensive restaurant possible. Well, they changed that. So you had to use it every day. And I was like I think I was in Oregon, Hillsboro or something, when they changed that. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's like you have to use it, or you lose it, essentially. So what I would do is I would go to the grocery store and buy some food for me, so I've got food, and spend 100% of that daily allowance, and then just put it in a sack, and then drive around finding like a homeless person and hand him like a big sack of groceries, like, hey, here you go, like all kinds of stuff. And oh my god, the faces, like how happy people were to get like boxes of cereal and crackers and cans of chili and stuff. Like, oh man, because I mean, it was going to go away anyway, so make it count.
Right.
You know?
On the company dime too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Yep.
Good karma for the company.
Karma, yeah. Oh man. Well, I think that's probably a good point to end. I think.
Yeah.
We've
Well,
exhausted this topic enough.
don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and become an organ donor.
Yes, yes, and try to be good. Help other people, like even a little. Like the impact is going to be a lot greater than you think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get teary-eyed now thinking about it.
I had something in my eye earlier.
Yeah, yeah, just a little bit.
Actually, something in my eye. Not that anyone should think I would have an emotional moment.
No, no. Grim up.
Only had that like once or twice on the show. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nah, all the time. All right. Well, enjoy the song on the way out.
And
but listen to all of it. Like all of it. It's just a clip. It's not gonna take that much of your life. if you donate an organ, you'll basically get that much time back in, right? So,
Exactly. And,
there you go.
be good to each other, everybody. Peace out.